Hello, it's March 28th. We just finished Easter weekend.
2016.
I wanted to talk a little bit about close calls. So I'll kind of go in sequence. The first close call I think I already talked about with my appendicitis when I was young. And I barely got that one in time. Parents were out of town. The next one probably was when I was maybe 14 or 15. Me and my buddies had walked up to the foothills in Springville. We were going to go sledding. So we were up there on a trail and everything, and all of a sudden somebody starts shooting at us. Wow, that was really, really scary. We never could figure out where it was coming from. But as we ran up a trail, the bullets were hitting right behind us. That was pretty scary. The next close call probably was when I was deer hunting. I'd gone with my dad, and I might have been about the same age. And I was kind of on this little ridge, just kind of looking on the other side. And all of a sudden I could hear this spinning, really fast spinning. And it was like coming from behind me and went whizzing by me, and then I could hear a sound, boom. And a little while later I hear it again. I'm like, that's a bullet. So I hid behind a tree that was close by, wondering what in the world would anybody be shooting at me for. I obviously don't look like a deer. I'm decked out in orange. That was really scary. And so the next close call, probably about a year later, maybe 2 years later, I was with a buddy. We had gone hunting, and he had a truck and it had really fat tires, and we were coming down this road. It had been raining and the road was made of clay. So this is on a mountain path. Off to our left is a pretty steep ravine, and we're on this clay road, and all of a sudden his truck starts spinning around like this, doing 360s going down the road. And at that time I thought I was a twinkler, so I wasn't worried at all. But that was a pretty close call. On my mission I got hit by the car. That was pretty scary and could have been a lot worse, The other event on my mission, I don't know if I've talked about it, was the night when the angels rescued me. And I'll talk about that in a different segment. That definitely was a close call. On my mission, we were going door to door, and we had gone to this apartment building where the apartment doors face each other. So you climb up the stairs, and then there's these two doors on either side. And I don't know how many levels we had gone up. We had knocked on this door, and the guy was really, really, really mad. And we would introduce ourselves as servants of the Lord. And I remember him in German coming to the door after we had already closed, or he had already closed it. He opened it up again, and he starts hollering at us, pointing a gun right at me, hollering, "Servants of the Lord, get out of here." In German you say, "Diener des Herrn, los." And I looked at that gun just as he cocks it, and I could see the barrel turn. And I'm like, whoa. My companion didn't see that. He was in front of me on the stairs. I almost jumped over him to try to get down. Coincidentally enough, that guy died. And it so happened that 3 people died who had tried to or threatened to harm that companion of mine. His name is Corey Krebs. We ended up moving into an apartment of somebody who had been beating on him with a broomstick several weeks before I moved into Berlin. And by the time I moved into Berlin, that guy had died, and as we're tracking through, we found out that that apartment was available for rent, so we moved into it. So that time, that was probably the most scared I was ever on my mission. That was a close call. In 1991 or thereabouts, I was working. I was through a school. I was just working, and guys from work would go play volleyball. I loved volleyball. Anyway, I was coming down this road, 4th South in Orem. At the bottom, there's a road called 9th West. And I'm going about 30 miles an hour down this road. And the road 9th West has a stop sign, has to stop and let this traffic go. All of a sudden, I'm in a truck with my buddy. It's kind of a higher truck. And I enter into this intersection, and I can tell that this car coming from the other direction is going to hit us. He is going really fast. And I just have time to tell my buddy, he's got us. And as I'm saying that, this car hits us. And so this truck that I'm in does a somersault this way and lands on its wheels, believe it or not. But that was really scary and kind of a close call. Could have been a lot worse. And probably the last close call was when I had my craniotomy. And Jennifer can probably tell you her side of this, but in the recovery room, she had to keep telling me to breathe. She would say, "Keep breathing, Julian." I felt like I was home and was comfortable there. And when she said that, I just kind of grasped onto this rope, this light, this strand of light, and came back to her. That was a close call. So those are probably the biggest close calls. I had lots of scrapes with my motorcycle. I remember one time climbing this hill. There's a place in the foothills of Springville called Spanish Graves. And really what it was, they had put in a bunch of power poles up there, and every so often they had these string of power poles. And so there was like a 25-foot flat area on top, and then a little mound. And so you'd come up and you'd jump over the mound. Well, I had come up too fast one time, and instead of jumping up and landing on the top, I flew clear over the top and was headed down the other side. Wow, that could have been really, really bad. Somehow I lucked out on that one. And, there were other times. I did crash on my motorcycle a couple times. One time I was on my brother Rudy's motorcycle, and I was just kind of seeing how fast it would go. He had a semi-chopped Honda motorcycle. Semi-chopped means the front forks are extended out. And so I was going about 110 miles an hour in the West Fields. And I was going so fast that the wind going underneath the little tiny front fender of that motorcycle started to lift that tire off the ground. And I could move the handlebars like this and the bike wouldn't move. And I'm like, this is not good at all. So that could have been really, really bad. And I went over the bridge where we had camped fishing the one night and kind of felt that lift. And I'm like, I gotta stop. So that could have been really bad. And that wasn't really a close call, but it was just me being crazy. So those are just some stories from my crazy past, the crazy gene that's in me coming through. One story Jake probably will remember. I had a little Toyota 4-wheel drive truck, and we had gone to Lincoln Beach just to drive around and see things, and they had little hills that looked like they were good four-wheeling hills. So I decided I would go up this one, and it was really, really steep. And so he's flat on his back going up this hill, And when we get up to the top, we have to turn around and come back down, and he is just scared. I think that was the most afraid he's ever been from my actions. But we made it. It was a lot of fun, I thought. I never felt threatened or felt in danger or felt that I was endangering him, but it was pretty scary for him. He probably likes that story. He calls it my crazy gene. He's the one that called it that to begin with, so I like it and I use it too. So those are just some stories. You know, when I was in junior high, I used to swing on the swing set and see how far I could jump. And I actually ruined or hurt my knee, injured my knee doing that, not landing very well. And I wore an elastic bandage around my left knee for a year. And I put it on, and it stayed on the whole year. I would take baths or showers with it. I never took that bandage off for a year. It just kind of held my knee in place a little bit more firmly. And I was just that way, just wanted to fly, I guess. And lo and behold, here I am. I'm flying to Utah every 2 weeks now in a Learjet. That's not quite the same thing as flying off of a swing set or flying in the air on a motorcycle, but it's flying. For Jacob's 12th birthday, I connected with a friend of mine who was flying in a little tiny plane and said, could you take my boy and kind of do a pre-check and then fly him around a little bit just to see what kind of interest he has in this. And so that was his 12th year birthday present, was to go out to the Provo airport and do this flight pre-check and go up in this little plane, and he just loved it. He just loved it so much. I'm surprised he didn't become a pilot after that. But instead, fast cars were what he was attracted to. That's better than fast women. Okay.